All right, everybody. So we've come to the end. There's a really brief two-page explanation of how to end with some examples of how you might end with a summary, which is what we kind of explained before when we talked about restating the thesis, summarizing your main points, and adding with a broad context idea or thought. But there's a lot of ways that you can end this thing. You can end with a summary, like we said, and with further comments from the writer, and with a call to action for the reader, and with fervor, and where you began. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this, okay? And so go ahead and read these couple of pages. Here's some more follow-up questions for you that will help you, really briefly, not like last time. And then finally, in the latter bits of the essay booklet, you have MLA manuscript format. There are particular ways to format an MLA paper, and you will be writing an MLA because this is an English class. Size 12, Times New Roman, font, double spaced. There are pagination details. Pagination is how to set up your page numbers. Pagination. There are margin, details. There are ways to use italics and quotation marks when you're citing sources. So you'll need to pay attention to those. And here's some word choice. Instead of said, try, any one of these words. Instead of very or good or fine or nice, just some vocabulary pieces here that will help you in terms of polishing up. This isn't, by the way, you should not do this before you've drafted your essay. This is all after the first draft. When you go back and you try to improve it, this is what you take care of. Building bridges, these are transition words, okay? Some helpful hints. Use an active voice versus a passive voice in terms of your verbs. Don't write the table was hit by me. Write I hit the table. April was kissed by Chris in the moonlight. That works in some cases, but the active voice is definitely more, whether it's exciting or just adds more oomph. Chris kissed April in the moonlight. The manuscript was submitted by the author. The author submitted the manuscript. It's just better. Active voice is just better often. And then some frequently misspelled words. Pay attention to those. Lastly, here's an editing checklist. Make sure all these are done. Treat yourself to a checklist. It feels so good to do checklists sometimes, and just check everything off. While a completed checklist doesn't equal 100%, it definitely makes sure that the essay is submitted the way that I wanted it submitted. So please make sure to pay attention to that, okay? And then finally, on these final pages are 3 examples of great essays, bad essays, and all right essays. And they follow a logical order here. This first essay, Karl Marx, this was that essay that I told you about that was written a number of years ago, and it was literally just copied and pasted by a student word for word. You can tell that it's word for word because the coded web page coloring is actually still embedded in the text. This highlighting, this gray highlighting here, is actually not me. It's the actual web page where he got it from. By the way, how I discovered that it was plagiarized, because this light gray highlight didn't come up all the way at first, was this phrase here. Where is it? I still remember it. His mother, a Dutch Jewess named Henrietta Pressburg. Nobody uses the term Jewess when they're 17 or when they're 16. And it's just not a word that we use, and not a word that is Western, or it is Western, but not a word that is 21st century at all. And I think what I did, if I remember correctly, is I Googled this phrase right here, starting with his mother and ending at the comma. And I found one document, and it was the document that he plagiarized from. So don't do that. The next essay is all right. It's fine, but you can see from the introduction that it's not fantastic because of the length of the introduction. I knew actually going in that this essay was going to be all right, but it wasn't going to be exactly what I asked for. I think this was like a 12 out of 20 essay, so out of 60%. It wasn't fantastic. It got the job done, but it wasn't this student's best work at all. And you can tell as well because there's no works cited page at all. Actually, maybe this wasn't even a 20 out of, or this wasn't even a 12 out of 20. This may have been just a pass because there's no works cited at all. Here's one on Vladimir Lenin again. The introduction isn't very long at all, which tells me something immediately. And there's one work cited. It's not on a separate page. It needs to be on a separate page. And there's Collier's Encyclopedia, probably something about Vladimir Lenin. And there's no publishing information, no page number, no entry, no author, nothing. So that's a terrible one too. The Unexpected Fate of Russia's Last Imperial Family. I read that title and I was like, holy crap, this is going to be a good one. And when I saw Courtney's introduction, I thought, oh my goodness, that's an introduction. And I had a pleasure reading this. It was just fantastic. Nice developed paragraphs, sequentially followed a logical organizational structure. And finally, there's your works cited page. Okay, should have been on a separate page, and it wasn't. But I didn't dock marks for that because, as you can see, she's got 3 different sources there. She's done her work, and it looks good. And then, oh, by the way, here's a really important part. Here is your essay writing rubric. You want to pay attention to that later. Your essays are out of 25. All right, that's the end. That's the last half of your essay writing booklet. If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to email me and let me know. Mr. Payne this week will be a great resource for you. And have fun watching Truman Show. I hope you get to it before I get back, but I'm also kind of hoping you don't get to it before I get back. Anyway, let me know if there's any questions and review these videos as much as you need to. Take care. Bye.